Hey y'all, this is Cindy. I'm the Tireless Tangler, and thank you so much for being with me for another Tangle Time. I love these hours of tangling together with you guys, and so I hope you will join us today. Our tangle is going to be CARO, or CARO, depending on where you are, I'm assuming. It is by my friend and CZT classmate, Lucy Farran, and this is a very special tangle. This is something that was designed in honor and memory of a CZT we lost in Ireland, CZT Caroline McNamara. And she and Lucy were friends, and Lucy wanted to do something in honor of her, and this is what she designed. Now, there are a lot of Ireland-related themes in this. One that I noticed right off is the use of threes. It's in a triangle, so three sides, three heart shapes that put together to make the beautiful little shamrock pattern. And there are many threes. The interstices come in sets of threes in this as well. And this can be a focal point, as I have it here. It can also be done in a grid very easily as a fragment. So let's get started and learn about this pretty little tangle that Lucy designed to honor Caroline McNamara, CZT, who lost her life in a car accident in Ireland. All right, guys, let's get started. So as I said, we can do this tangle in a couple of different ways. We can handle it as a focal point, and that's the way I'm going to step it out to you for today. As soon as here we are, we'll use my 01 in brown today. And this is CARO by Lucy Farran. CZT 32, girl. Yeah, I know, I got to do that every time one of my classmates comes up in these videos, because, yeah. And the cool thing is I really did get to sit and spend some meals with Lucy and get to know her, so that's such a fabulous thing. Okay, so as I showed you, this is done in a triangle form, and if you're going to do it as a focal point, you can just draw in your triangle however you would like. This is a little bit lopsided, but as you're going to see, it's going to work no matter the shape of the triangle, or for that matter, the shape of your little hearts. This is still going to work. So the next step is to put a dot in the approximate center of this triangle, okay? And we're going to draw our three little heart shapes, one in each corner, all right? The way we're going to do that is by starting at the dot, okay? And you're going to draw a line to start up the curve of one of your heart shapes, okay? Now, you can continuous line do this. If you are comfortable drawing hearts, you can draw this in a continuous line, as I tend to do, although I have differing results. And you're going to want to kiss both of those lines, one with each side of this heart, so that you have a heart that looks something like this, okay? Now we're going to shift our tile, and we're going to do the same thing in each of these other two corners, all right? So starting from here and visualizing your heart in this corner, all right? And sometimes I like to do it this way and just put in the heart bump at the top. Now, I don't have particularly awesome results with this as far as getting everything in there perfectly, but it's going to work, and you will see as we go through the tile that this is going to be fine, okay? So from the dot, again, I'm going to pull my the sides of my hearts, those lines up, and again, I got it lopsided, but that's all right. All right. Okay. So now we have this. We have three heart shapes in each of these three corners. So the last step, this is very simple, is to add an inner aura around the insides of your triangle shape. And the only tough thing about this is making sure you get them even, going and coming. And that is frequently a tough thing for me. Some of you may get my vibe on that. You may feel what I feel about that. And so now, making sure to get in the general vicinity of what we want. I don't know what's wrong with my tongue today, but it's not participating. So this is the fragment, the simple fragment, okay? Like this. Let's see if we can get a better. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So now at this point, we can do whatever we want as far as embellishing. Where are my examples? Okay, so, well, I had one more. I don't know where it went. It left. Oh, here it is. Okay. So for my example art, I used this one where I blacked in everything and then just put some dots or some flower flicks. Over here, I played with some more fill opportunities and different ways that you could handle this. And you really can, of course, as always, decorate this as you want. It just even now occurred to me that we could put hatch lines along the little frame part to dress that up. So, you know, the sky is the limit here. You can do as you wish. And let's get to the tile, because in the tile, we're going to use this as a fragment. And we're going to watch the meta patterns appear. Okay? Let's get started. I guess we already got started. Let's get going. Let's continue. All right. I'm using a piece of cold press watercolor paper today. This is from Arteza. This is their expert watercolor paper. It's 100% cotton. And I have deckled the edges with a pair of Fisker edgers that I received in one of the Zentangle project packs back, the one with the photographs and everything, whichever one that was. And so that's what I'm going to use today to draw on. It's a tiny bit bigger than a Zentangle tile. It's about 4 inches by 4 inches. So now I'm going to, in lieu of a string today, since I really just need a place with straight lines, I'm going to draw some diagonal lines so that I have a big strip. And then I'm going to put a center line sort of from diagonally from corner to corner on there. And I hope that you guys can see this. I'm afraid I will get off frame if I don't be careful, but maybe not so close. Okay. So I've got this divided up into sections, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw in my lines with ink, and then I'm going to, in fact, though I wanted to change to a 01 because I tend to get out of control with this PN on this rough paper. Now, cold press watercolor paper is pretty rough. It's not the same as far as the texture goes. It's not the same as hot press, where it's fairly similar to a Zentangle tile, although the surface of this is probably closer to the original tiles than hot press is. So that's just, you know, I sort of tend to think of the original Zentangle tiles as being a mixture between hot press and cold press. So, you know, maybe I'm full of it, maybe I'm not, I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to start by drawing in my center line from one corner diagonally down to the other. Now I was looking where I was going, and that didn't turn out too well, but I tend to lose my pen control the longer that stroke is, so I think we'll be all right. And there are no drawing police out to get us today, thank goodness. I know they'd be stopping at my house. Okay, so this is where I'm starting, okay? And I was trying to decide whether I wanted to put a division here by adding inner auras on each side, but I think I'm going to leave it alone. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a triangle or a couple of diagonal lines to make a triangle here in the middle. And then I think I'm going to put my midpoint on this line. I'm already out. Okay, I think I'm going to put my midpoint here, right there. And so I'm going to aim at that point. Well, okay. All right, so I'm going to go with it and continue my lines so that they match these diagonal lines that I've got here. And let's go back up this way. And this way. So they'll stop a little bit before we get off. And then, okay, so if this is my point here, and so this will go here. Hopefully. Hopefully that'll work. Okay, so we're going to do this and this. Now, despite the way you see me behave, this doesn't have to be perfect. Just know that I am still on my personal journey here of understanding that things don't have to be perfect. This is an utter dichotomy to my way of thinking in the world, but there you go. I am going to put an aura on the outside of this, just because I know. There is a bit of a learning curve with drawing on this rough type of paper, but I wanted you to know that this is doable and you may experience a little bit better luck if you use a larger nib. Although I tend to get out of control with my PN, so, you know, it's up to you. But just wanted you to know that I have done tangling on cold press watercolor paper many times before. So it doesn't bother me, but it might be too much for you. It's just, you know, another option for you if you can't source the cold press or the hot press. Oh, I'm just supposed to put a dot here. What am I doing? Well, you know what they say in tangling, if you get an opportunity, i.e. a mistake, see if you can repeat it. Sometimes that's what comes up with interesting stuff. So I'm going to repeat my little orb here. That was unintentional. It was just supposed to be a dot. But as I imagine it, I'm thinking, why not? I think it's going to work pretty good in here. Pretty well, I should say. Grammar police. And maybe like that. I don't know. That's too much thinking for me. All right, so I'm going to start here and just make my little heart shapes out to the side and touch. And Cindy, they don't have to be perfect. So again, and you will find as you go that the lines from each one will be straight across. Touch on each side. In fact, those are better than the ones I drew initially, but it's fine. Okay, and then the last thing will be to put that inner aura in, and you can make this fat or thin. I frequently start one way and end up the other way. Just do the best you can. Again, we have not brought the drawing police today. So whatever happens, happens. And I want you to wrap your head around that it is okay if it's not perfect. We're not trying to look like anything specific. So that works out for us, doesn't it? Okay, so I'm going to leave that right there, and I'm going to go ahead and finish the initial elements in all of my square triangles, and then I'll decide how I'm going to proceed from there. So I'm going to go up here. I have a real problem with this. It's going to be okay. And so I'm going to attempt to touch the line in the same place where I did on this one, okay? And the same here, where I'm going to touch. Like that. And you'll see, straightish. If I've gotten my curves straightish. So you can see, right, on this one, straight across. Okay, so let's get in this inner aura and keep going. I'll remind you guys that I'm drawing without the glasses today. So I sort of can see what I'm doing, but I may get unexpected results. Okay. Okay, that's slightly better. It's not one thing, it's another. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. Now, I am going to add color to this, which is why I chose to use the hot press watercolor paper. Mostly because I cannot put these brush pens down that I got from Arteza. And I've got a video upcoming that is going to break these out for you guys. So I'm not going to do much explaining about them today. But be looking for that video, because there will be hopefully some coupons in there for you guys if you want to get some. I know many of us have that issue where we have to admit to ourselves that we have enough art supplies. Luckily, I have not arrived at this place yet. Although I'm sure Mari would have another opinion about that. Well, I like my little misshapen ones. I think that's fine. I'm very tempted to change my orientation on this one. But let's not get crazy. I'm still aiming for the same spot on the side where the other section is touching. We're going for it. And I know I haven't drawn in my auras. I'm having trouble switching back and forth. So I'm just going to do one and then do the other. Okay. All right. Sorry, my stomach is growling. I don't know why. I tried to eat something a bit ago and couldn't get it down. I think it just likes to make noise when I'm on video so that I can be embarrassed. Yeah, I do. That's what I think I do. Now you can see that as soon as I get these borders drawn in, or the inner auras drawn in, you'll be able to see that this creates meta patterns by putting these in a fragment style of a setup. You can use this as a fill for the Tangle pattern Tripoli. There's lots of different things. You know, you could use it in a ribbon, be very pretty like that. But the name CARO means dear or beloved, or the word CARO means dear or beloved, and has shades, that type of thing has shades of meaning in several languages. You have the same type of, I think the CARO is Italian, and I know because I have sung many, many times about CARO. Anyway. You know how us opera singers are. We are me-caroing this and that and the other. Now I'm going to be singing opera to you, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Especially not me. Yes, this is much more zenful for me if I go about this with the heart drawing and then come back through and do the aura-ing on the inside. The question is, and so we'll be doing this. And what a pretty pattern this is, right? This meta pattern, where all of these hearts are going together. Isn't that pretty? And, you know, depending on how we handle it, that could be something we would emphasize. Okay, I think I got all my spots, because I don't know where to start in these two, so that's fine. All right, let me finish adding my aura lines on the insides. Putting in these sort of little frames. I've always liked this look, and when you draw it behind like this, I think it's a really effective, it's an effective way to do this. What did I do here? Well, I drew this wrong. We need the glasses. Well, we're not going to worry about that because chances are we might ink it, we might not. We'll see. Let's move on. So, note to self, don't start at the edge. There we go. Well, we will see how these go. None of them will be perfect. And I am sure there will be a lesson for me in that somewhere. Today was therapy day, of course, so you guys know how that goes. And so I am busy. My counselor drew an interesting correlation between life and some other things I'm dealing with and my art, which I felt and had to do with perfectionism and all of that. And I felt like she had an extremely valid point with that. That everything in life doesn't have to be perfect either, Cindy. It's the same thing as art. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can still be good and not perfect. Well, I can't see it all. And I think that's a really important message. Life can be good even if it isn't perfect. Choose to be glass half full today like I did. because that is a choice, guys. You can choose to be angry and mad and all wild up and all that stuff, or hurt and sad and lonely, or you can choose to keep your chin up and keep gutting through the days. You can start counting your blessings instead of worrying about your lacks, the things that you need. Count the things that you have instead of the things that you need that you don't have. This is our life lesson that we are learning today, at least in my house. I'm going to regret not wearing my glasses for this. But it's get it done or stop and look. And yeah, I guess we know which way I've decided to go. Now, I think this looks like the stained glass windows they have like in Notre Dame, or that they had in Notre Dame. I'm still heartsick about that. And the other cathedral types of stained glass windows. I think they're so beautiful. Today I'm blessed that I was able to be in that beautiful cathedral once in my life and enjoy it and be in awe of it. Now it is not there anymore. I hope they will rebuild, because that was awe-inspiring for sure. Singing there was like a dream. The acoustics were amazing. Oops. All right. And that's not going to show here. Well, it kind of should show here. We'll just do this and sort of phone that part in, and yeah, I think we're going to leave that. Okay, so did I get them all? Again, nope, I missed one here somewhere. Right here. Well, I'm pretty disappointed in my line work, but being a glasses half full person today means so that I'm going to be asking myself, okay, so if my line work is messy, what can I do here to make things better? What do I want to do for embellishments? Now, one embellishment that I liked, that I tried, was to sort of emphasize this middle dot and do some of my little flower flicky things at the base of this to make it more petally looking. I'm just going to flick several in there. And again, I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't see very well what I'm doing. I think I'm getting most of them in the lines. The question is, am I on camera? So I think I'm going to handle mine like that. And I may just put some little hatch lines just along the edge on one side there to sort of give it a little bit of contouring like that. And as far as the background goes, I could do a cross hatch back there, which would mean like straight lines and then hatching it the other direction, making it a cross hatch. Duh. And as So that's a thought. I'm going to go ahead and keep thinking about the background while I am putting in these little flicks everywhere. Well, and despite what I've done, my message is you don't want these all the same length. So I'm going to have to do a better job here. I want it to be kind of dense around the bottom, but not so even like this one. That looks a little weird. Okay. And my little hatch marks. Well, that was kind of weird looking, but all right. Oops, wrong one. Did I draw those already? No, I did not. I start to wonder sometimes. I really, really do. So I really like that it's much more flowery. You know, that makes me happy, and it's my art, so I can do what I want. And as I always tell you guys, that is a wonderful, freeing thing to know that this is your art. Do what you want. And when you get done, it's not going to be wrong. Why? Because there are no mistakes in Zentangle. Can't get it wrong. Whoops. I don't know where that one went. Maybe they had a meeting with the hatch lines later and we're trying to catch up. Yes, I'm really this weird all the time. Mari will tell you. Well, he would if he weren't busy with his headset on playing a game. You know, another thing we could do is put color in this background, or we could just put graphite in there to make a color change. Again, I hope that none of you are named Cindy, so you don't feel like I'm always picking on you. And I should apologize to myself for picking on me, huh? I try to teach Mari to have a good self-esteem, but I don't practice that in front of him, do I? Boy, we're just having self-discovery day today. Let's stop that. I'm done discovering. I've had enough discovery for one day. I really am enjoying this pattern. It's very simple to draw and straightforward, but lots of room for embellishing and for different opinions about how it should go or what would look cool. That's another thing I love about Zentangle, is that it's so freeing and you can do what you want. And we celebrate variations. We celebrate different ideas. And what a wonderful thing is that. All right. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing in there. I'm zenned out. I'm bummed because now that we're in quarantine for the next week, I did tell you all that, I'm assuming. If I didn't, Mari's team on football played against another team, and one of the kids was positive for COVID-19 after they got done playing. So I have to ask myself why they were playing in the first place if they were sick, but we'll stop. But so we should be under quarantine for the next 14 days, and that sucks big time. That means there's no football practice, so he's not getting any exercise, which he's fine with. He's my boy, and he's fine with that, but we've got to get back into it. But I'm really concerned that this is going to cause a big issue within the league. And we won't be able to play because they don't have the appropriate structure in place to, they should be testing them every day. And I mean, really, it's almost impossible to police a sports league. I mean, unless you do it like the NBA does and put them in a bubble and don't let them leave and nobody can come in, and that's the only way they can stay safe. Test them every time before they play. But no little league is going to be able to afford that kind of stuff. And this is an inner city youth league, and it's so desperately needed for these kids that are at risk. And I'm frustrated. I'm really of two minds about it because I understand where they're coming from. They want these kids to play. The parents want them. Heck, I want them to play. But I also don't want this to become an epidemic where we are losing families and entire families because we are all sick. And and then on the other hand, I have to be extremely careful because I'm at high risk for COVID. And so, it's hard. This is a hard one because I'm with the kids. Let's get back to the world. Let's get back to reality. Let's get back to normal. And I just don't know if this is ever going to be over at this point. It's really frustrating, isn't it, guys? It's really frustrating to stay positive when nothing seems to get better. And we are no longer 8th in the nation. We are now 4th. Now, I understand that the number of COVID cases isn't the important thing, but 4th in the nation tells me that other states are doing things and have things in place that we are not doing, and what we are doing is not working. And, that's frustrating. I'm not trying to be political. I'm just saying, if they can't legislate science is going to win. Science will always win. Science is based on fact, something that politics don't recognize. I think we can all agree on that. No matter where you're from, we know that politicians do not make logical sense and therefore have no place in the scientific arena. And yet we have politicians making policy decisions regarding health and welfare. All right, I'll stop again. I got off on a tangent. But 4th, guys, 4th in the United States, and we are not that big a state. Texas should be way ahead of us, but no. Well, they might be. I don't know. I haven't seen the list. But, yeah. I want my world back the way it was. I want to not be afraid to go outside. Silliness. I want my kid not to be afraid. He's not afraid, I'll tell you. He doesn't think anything bad's going to happen because nothing ever does. Youth. Well, I got off on a tangent and managed to get through a bunch of these, didn't I? Okay. All right. Okay. So now I am asking myself, and I really need to stop and find my glasses, because now what I want to do is add rounding to the insides of these, and I can't do rounding with no glasses because that's going to be dangerous and scary. So I'll be right back with you as soon as I find my peepers. All right, so I do want to do some rounding, and where I'm going to do that is on the inside of each of these little corners right here. So I'm going to add line weight and rounding to the insides of these sections. I'm not going to do it where it meets the petals, but I'm going to do it in the corners of this triangle, okay? Simba says, hey. So some of this is not going to be perfect, which is my theme for today. It's not going to be perfect, so what can we do with it? Nothing wrong with that theme?
Incomplete.
Incomplete? Mari's playing football on a game right now. Had an incomplete pass. He's really starting to love the game, which is good since I do too. To be a little gentler on my start there when I come up to that line, as I'm jumping into that space, and I want to make a nice clean job out of it. Now, by adding line weight, and to a lesser extent the rounding, to these triangular sections, then we're going to point out to the eye a completely different pattern than we are getting with the flowers or the shamrock shapes. So it's going to be interesting to me to see what, if anything, this does for me. You know how it is with me. It's a crapshoot sometimes, and sometimes it works. Sometimes not. But we go with it either way, don't we, guys? Okay. All right, well, keep going. Can't start and not finish. Keep on keeping on. So how is everybody doing? I have heard from some of you not. I had an amazing, fun, relaxing time tangling with Diane on Sunday night. Was it Sunday or Saturday night, I guess? And I'll be sharing that tangle with you at some point, just not today. It was just so nice to draw with a friend, and it's not that I don't do that every day with you guys, but it was nice to have her feedback coming back to me, and we had a really lovely time. You know, she is going to be a new CZT in November. So I really enjoyed spending time with her and getting to know her better. Remember, that's a membership perk for the people in the top tier, of which I have 2 more, but I have not heard from them, so I don't know how to get in touch with you guys. You need to. you need to, so I can do your class with you. All right. Simba is starting to blow. There must be people walking by. You all know he gets very upset about that. Oh. All right. This is such a pretty fragment. Such a pretty tangle. And this is a fragment. A fragment meaning that you can put it into configuration with others of them and make meta patterns out of them, basically. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Oh, I forgot to round here too. I just want to thank you guys for being who you are and being my followers and coming back and watching these videos all the time. I just really appreciate having somebody to share my journey with and having someone to having you guys out there following along makes a huge difference to me. Otherwise, I would just probably stop. But the fact that you guys are masochists and you want to watch these, that works for me. Thank you guys for being awesome. Hopefully that doesn't make me sadistic. Probably not. I'm probably a little bit crazy the other way. I get nuts when people are hurting. It just drives me crazy. So, not sadistic. That's good. It's good for all of us. All right, I forgot this one in here. And like I said, by doing this, we are emphasizing a different part of the pattern than the shamrock part. Well, what do you guys think? Let's put a little bit more in. I think to finish this off today, I'm going to use a brush pen. And I'm just going to stroke a little color into this middle section around, or I might, we'll see. We'll see. But I am going to speed that part up. I don't want to edit it, and that's very selfish of me, I know. But I want to be done for today, and so I'll just speed that part up. You guys can see, and I'll be doing, like I said, I'll be doing a further demonstration with these brush pens for you guys later, a video all on its own. Like I said, this paper that I'm using today is from Arteza. They were incredibly generous to me. And like I said, you guys will hear all about it coming up soon. I've got to get in touch with them and have them approve the video. And once that happens, we'll be good to go. Of course, I need to edit it first. I love the patterns that look like lattices, or something that has got something organic, a framework from which something organic can grow. And I love tangles that give me that effect, the straight line and the organic, or the organized and the organic, or whatever it happens to be. And I really like the mix of those two. You may or may not be asking yourself, why am I not rounding in here? And even though in some spots it looks like I am, I'm not, at least not intentionally. It's because what we have here is the three-dimensional pattern, in that the flowers, the shamrock shapes, are sitting on top of the framework, right? And if we were to round, say, here, like that, then that makes these two on the same plane, on the same level, if you will. And so that's why I'm not doing the rounding in that way. When I round here, it doesn't affect this top layer. But if I round here against this top layer, then it will. Does that hopefully make sense to anyone? Sorry. And I'm trying not to redefine those lines either. But, stuff happens, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Of course, if you guys have colored pencils, or other brush pens, or whatever you want to use for coloring, if you want to add color to yours, you are welcome to do so. You can add it in the same way or a different way than me. Again, your art, you choose, you decide. Okay, a couple more here. What's up, Simba? Simba is making an appearance here. He is wondering what the heck I'm doing drawing when I could be playing with him. He'd be right. What the heck am I doing drawing, Sim? He says, I don't know, but whatever it is, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. If it doesn't start with puppy play, then you're wrong. Okay, so I think the last thing I'm going to do is emphasize my line out here, except that I'm going to switch and use my PN, because I'm afraid if I use the 01, I'll have to go over it too many times and make a mess, as always. So this is one of my coping mechanisms. It's sometimes effective, as all of them are, and sometimes not so much. Well, I managed to wiggle on the right part, so that's awesome. All right, let's turn this upside down. Do the same thing here. Okay. Yeah, Simba says, "Her." Thank you for sharing. Forgot one over here. I know some of you guys are itching to go, Cindy, you forgot one. Here I go getting it. I usually find them. Usually being my caveat. All right. Here we go. Simba is head up again, so we're going to let him do his doggy thing. Simba, stop being a doggy. I can't do that, Mom. All right. Okay, so what do I want to use color-wise in here? I'm first thinking green. A really light yellowy green. We're going to see how it goes. Actually, let's be safe, since I haven't had time to do a swatch sheet. Ooh, that's a nice, like, apple green. I like that. And we need an opposite color, something darker. We can use a dark green, or let's use this. Pine green, perfect. This may be a little too dark for this color. Maybe a bit blue. Okay. I like that one. I don't think I want the other green to be quite that deep. So I'm going to put the pine away and get out my green that I used yesterday. This is just a standard green. I think that'll be a better match. Same basic color qualities, but not quite as blue. Okay, my next question is, do I want to start dark at the center, light on the outside, or do I want to go light at the center and dark on the outside? Seen it done both ways. I don't know. My tendency is to go dark to light, so dark on the inside and light outside, and that is really color-wise what is more intuitive, I guess. Darker here around the center. Oh, I'm not going to go all the way up to the tip, but I'm just going to add a little bit. Coming up from the center here. Okay, and then let's try this. Stroking a tiny bit of this green down around the base. Now I have two choices here. I can take my lighter color, come back down here and draw this back up like this. sort of blend it. But I can also, if I don't want the colors to be quite as dark, I can also take my aqua brush, and I'm going to start at the outer edges and just pull a little tiny bit of this up into the top. And this is rolling good again. You can just dab any extra water or pigment out. And this is where you will enjoy having cold pressed watercolor paper. It's a trade-off. And after you do this part, you can still go back in and add your colors back over that. So this is how I'm going to do that part. I think what I'm going to do over here is use this. I think I want to go a little darker. This is why I love these brush pens, is this quality. It absolutely dissolves with water so smoothly. There's no lines. The blending process is just seamless. I love it. These are great. I wanted to give that a little bit of time to dry. There was a lot of water in that brush, and it went over this pigment. It went over the white area. I don't know if this is going to work. I should have used, yeah, because that's spreading right into my shamrock shape. I probably need to give this more time to dry. Yes, because this is not Inktense, and they will spread. So this is basically what I'm going to go for. I'm going to have to let this dry, which means I'm not going to be able to do all of this on camera, or at least for this video. If you do not want to use color, but want to finish this in black and white, let me give you a tip or two on shading. Probably just one tip, probably not two. I am ornery today. I don't know what's going on with me, but yeah. So you're going to shade where you overlap, and you may want to do this even if you do add shading, or you may want to shade with color, although that might be problematic. So where your tips come together, I'm going to shade on either side of that area. You want to shade in the center if you're not going to be using color. The other thing you can do, like I said, is shade this background. So it's a nice light gray. Going to add more color around the base of this. Now you are going to want one of these gradients to be darker than the other, so that they are not, so they don't look like they're all on the same level. As you can see, these are pretty much, ooh, that spreads really fast here. These are pretty much the same gradient of gray here. So what we need to do is either really darken in here, which is probably what I would choose to do. It would be one way to do that, okay? Or you can, of course, ink in this entire area and do it that way. And that's a very bold and dramatic look. So if you want to spend the time with that, then you can. All right, guys. I'm necessarily going to need to end this today, members. I will do my best to get most of this next part on film for you. And I will see you guys in the next lesson. I hope you guys will be safe and feel hugs coming from Oklahoma all around the world to you guys. Much love to you. I'll see you next time.